Jesus says, a worldling cannot receive spiritual transmissions. July 8, 2018. Words from Jesus to Sister Clare, spoken by Jackie. Jesus began, I have heard your prayers and cries, my people, and I long to bring you closer so you can hear me. So I will begin to explain to you the elements that stand in the way of your spiritual growth. I have much to say to you, my dear ones, who are struggling to hear me, for many different reasons. You do have a very real enemy. You still have unrecognized sin in your lives. You have many struggles with your flesh, because of what you allow into your ear and eye gate. You do tend to be selfish with your time. You see, those of you who pour out your efforts and prayers on others, I must continually fill. So part of being filled is being empty to begin with. Not just empty for the consolations you feel you need and want, but empty for what you want to give to others. The more a soul pours out their lives on others, the more I will fill them. Your emptiness and desire to help others and their aching need causes me to pour out into you, so that you can fill them. You could almost call this a spiritual law. It is such a regular dynamic. Emptiness calls to me, makes demands on my grace, especially when the soul is crying out to feed others. If I continue to fill you, when you are only collecting it for yourself, you become self-serving, and like a lake with no outlet, eventually a stagnant pond. It is the faithfulness to the graces I give you that causes me to anoint you even more. You put demands upon me, my children, when you pour out on others all that you have. This is truly a spiritual law, that emptiness draws from the wellsprings of grace, simply by the fact that it has nothing to give. How can you serve others when you are so empty? So I fill you, dear souls. Now we come to another fact that influences whether or not you will be able to see and hear me. There are still attitudes and habits in some of your lives that block my grace from going as deeply into your lives as it could. How can I fill a vessel that is full of the world? The music of the world, the movies of the world, the worldly appetites the body chases after, the worldly comforts and conveniences, the worldly guidance from friends, the worldly influences from work. When a vessel is full of these things, there is little room for my grace. Fortunately for me, I found a soul loaded down with many of these faults, and through my conversations with her, you have been able to learn much. But learning does little good for you if you do not reform your lives based on that knowledge. Modern electronic media is a well-structured and studied system, presented in the context of colorful and exciting stories that will captivate and influence souls into behavioral values that are easy to control. When you play video games, watch TV programs, read worldly magazines and books, you are programming yourself to be a worldling. A worldling cannot receive spiritual transmissions because all the concepts to them are alien and make absolutely no sense to them. For instance, the Beatitudes. Blessed are those who mourn, they shall be comforted. Blessed are the meek, they shall inherit the earth. Blessed are you when men persecute and revile you. All these concepts are repugnant to the worldly-minded soul, and I must gently lead you out of that morass of filth before your mind can truly receive my thoughts. Yes, I bathe you in the purifying waters of my word, until the crust of corruption falls from your hearts and minds, to reveal a tender heart of flesh and a receptive mind to heavenly realities. My dear ones, if I could isolate you from this nefarious influence, you would begin to hear me very well, indeed. But this is just one facet of the problem. There are so many more, which I will go into in further messages.